I have been going to conventions since as long as I can remember, if I'm completely honest.
Because, like, sometimes you can't cover an entire genre in half an hour.
Pausing, and we will probably resume it sometime this week.
It's kind of like the special features on a DVD.
Field Guide to Monsters?
One of the handbooks over there.
Huh.
This is Argo City Extra, a special edition of the Argo City podcast with Maddie and Matthew. You know, it's funny, we just had a comic book crawl out in the local neighborhood. We've got a bunch of different people in the area who they'll set up at conventions, they'll set up at shows and do stuff like that. So a couple of times a year, they'll also just pull out the collections, open up the garages, and we'll do a comic book crawl heading from house to house to see what various sales and quarter bins and key books and all sorts of stuff, what they'll be selling. I came home with like almost a full long box between the 6 stops that I made. And that puts me very much in the mood to talk about comics. I mean, I can talk about comics all day, but this really got us into that right headspace. So, we're going to head back as Maddie and I talk about Batman in general, the Batman movies, the comics, and specifically finish our conversation about Batman Forever. You had stuff to say about the Riddler's costumes, too.
Yes, I love his costumes. He mostly stays in his green one throughout it, but...
Well, it switches, though. Sometimes it's a suit, sometimes it's the bodysuit.
I didn't notice that.
Like, sometimes it's a jacket.
Oh my gosh, but this brings me back to how much I love the flamboyant characters. But like he has a suit where he says like that where it's lit up when he's talking with the girl like towards the end of the movie when he has her kidnapped, and he's like, it helps people see me in the dark.
Yeah, like, it keeps me safe when I'm jogging, and you're pointing like, it's bedazzled, and I'm just thinking, oh, you just wait.
Like, when the lights were off, it was bedazzled. And then we see him in full-on rhinestones. Even his mask, full-on rhinestones. And I'm sitting here like, this is completely bedazzled. This is amazing. And I stand by my point. If I was a Batman villain, this is what I would be. I loved that. I loved his costume. That was so much fun. I really loved seeing Two-Face's outfit as well. Not as much as the Riddler, but I did love, like, I think his outfit changed, like, at least twice in it, because at one point he had, like, the regular, like, half suit, half, like, regular clothes, and then at one point it turned into, like, I'd say almost, like, Mad Hatter Wonderland, like, colors on the left side of the suit.
It's a little bit, they don't change him as much.
Well, yeah, not as much.
And the color scheme's weird, and it threw you off, too. Because you're like, is it pink? It is.
His hair is pink.
His hair and his skin, even. That burn is pink. Two-Face should be green.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But we've got green already. We've got the Riddler there, so.
Yeah. And it did kind of throw me off that it wasn't exactly black and white. Because that's what I always, that's what I always see when I think of him, so.
Because you're used to the cartoon. You're used to the 92 animated series. What did you think of the two of them together?
That's actually what I was going to talk about next. I love them together. They are so much fun bouncing off of each other. I love how, like, the Riddler, despite being chaotic, is, like, the only sane person compared to the two of them. Like, no, don't kill them. You cannot kill them. And like, our Two-Face guy is sitting over here. He's just flipping his coin like, can I? No. Can I? No. Can I? No. He flips his coin like 3 times until he eventually gets a heads, and he's like, yes! And he shoots him. And I don't know. They're fun. They're playing off of each other. They are ignoring each other. They're like, their dynamic is so much fun.
That's really interesting because the actors hated each other.
What?
Two-Face could not stand the Riddler.
What? Why?
It's just different ages, different methods, different everything. But Tommy Lee Jones just didn't want him, wouldn't hang out, didn't want him around, resented being near. It was awful on set. And the fact that that doesn't come through, that we get the opposite.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. A lot of people don't like this movie.
Why?
Because they think Michael Keaton is Batman. And
I will get into that as well, in my opinion on that, but continue.
And that Tim Burton is the one who should be directing. And I get that they're gone, but the next one after this gets even sillier.
Oh.
I mean, it goes... You think this went over the top. This restrained itself. This is a comic book. The next one is a cartoon. And nobody likes. Killed the franchise. No. Like, we're not going to watch it because I'd have to sacrifice a movie slot to watch it.
Oh.
And this is coming from somebody who dresses up as Mr. Freeze on a fairly regular basis.
It's been a while since I've seen you in that costume.
But it's one of those definitive ones that people remember me for.
That and Doc Ock.
So, no, it's awful. And this one gets lumped into it because it's the same director.
What? No.
But I don't blame it on the director. This is where I keep talking about studio interference. The director showed up for work before the script was written, and the studio already had the costumes and the toys ready.
Oh.
And said, you have to have these designs in the movie.
What?
Also, we're adding a villain because he's popular right now.
Which was the added villain?
Bane. That's what's happening before filming starts, before scripting starts. And they turned it completely into the TV show. And it's one thing to homage it. Like, I think there's a gag in this one where Robin jumps up and goes, "Holy rusted metal, Batman!"
Yeah.
And that's a direct homage to how Burt Ward Robin in the TV show would be.
Literally the
holy
scene
hijinks, Batman! Holy villains, Batman! Holy... And
even that scene at the end where they are running towards the screen in the black, that's a direct homage to the intro of it.
Mm-hmm. So there's stuff there, but it's not over the top.
Yeah.
The next one is over the top and this one gets lumped in with it.
Does Bane get a duo villain in the next movie, or?
Oh, there's already a duo villain.
Well,
it's Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, and then they have to shove Bane into that on top of that.
I would almost think it would be hard to. I feel like Poison Ivy would be hard to match up with another villain.
They're just throwing stuff in wherever they can at that point.
Why would they have to ruin her? I love my Poison Ivy. That's one of the things that kind of made me think when you were talking about the dynamic between the two of them. Mm-hmm. Immediately my brain jumps to Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn because I loved the two of them together. They are so much fun. And I was like, the dynamic, it's not similar at all, but you get some of that with Harley and with Ivy.
And that would make sense because this is coming out right around the time the animated series has been on now. And it's probably peaked, but it's defined that.
Yeah.
So you have those that kind of two best friend hijink things. And that's what they're absolutely best as.
Yeah.
It defines them more than anything else. And so they're kind of trying to do that here too. And you're right, it doesn't work in Batman and Robin. But you see, everybody also blames the director for this. I do not blame the director. I like Joel Schumacher. I like him in other things. He directed my favorite vampire movie. He directed The Lost Boys.
That's right. You told me about that before we started.
And again, The Lost Boys has a very comic book feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
It understands those angles without making them dumb.
Yeah.
So I don't find it to be him. I like this despite that stuff. This stands alone to me more than anything else.
I could totally see
There's nothing
this
else like it.
Yeah, I could totally even just see walking into this as a standalone movie. But I don't really have anything I could compare it to. It's I'm going to sound repetitive here, like a broken record, but it's brilliant.
It's interesting because I think this appeals to you more as someone who grew up on the MCU as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
The integration of the humor, the integration of some of the more flamboyant.
Yeah, like you raised me on comics. You raised me. I got into the MCU for a while, but I was also reading comics from a really young age. So I've definitely grown up with that style of hero. Mm-hmm. So that definitely, and even if you add in a lot of the superhero anime that I watch, that definitely adds in a lot of that look to it. Mm-hmm. But I did want to jump back because we were talking about the Batman here.
Yes.
And I don't think people are going to agree with me here, but I just could not see that actor as Bruce Wayne. He did not
Really?
No. Okay, so here's my take. He did not strike me as like the overly like hot, overly like what's the word? Womanizer Bruce Wayne. It doesn't work for me. His it's just the way he looks, and like I think he played the character fine, but the way he looks just kind of ruined him as Bruce Wayne for me.
He's very reserved. See, I liked him as Bruce Wayne in this. I liked him all around. That's Val Kilmer. He was a big up-and-coming star at the time. I liked the reserved feel. I don't know. I think he's very much a pretty boy. You're right that you don't see him putting on the womanizing...
Yeah, and
the
it's just,
facade there. I don't know that we see that a whole lot in the movies, though.
And like, well, that's just like the way that I've always pictured him. And I'm gonna sound really bad here saying this, but like, he's not like Hollywood hot. He's not like.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with you on that. I really don't.
I mean, I may just like, you know, enjoy certain things, but like it doesn't work for me. He doesn't like the character works. Mm-hmm. The face ruins it for me. When he's in his suit as Batman, I'm golden. But the minute that he takes it off, I'm thrown off.
You know, the last time you saw him was in Willow. The little person trying to get the baby to the castle. There's
right, yeah. Kind of like Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes. He's the swordsman with the long dark hair. He looks completely different.
I may have to look up a picture later.
He's done a lot of different stuff. This is a weird role. He had a hard time with it because you can't, inside that mask, you can't hear anything.
Ugh.
You can't turn your head.
Ugh.
And it was not a great, he didn't have a great time doing it.
Yeah.
So he only did it the one time.
Who plays Batman in the last one then?
Would you believe George Clooney?
Really?
Really. George Clooney likes to joke about how he killed Batman, how he killed the series dead.
I mean, the other thing that just kind of threw me off with Robin, and once again, I'm going to sound really weird here, but having a college-aged Robin, like, kind of threw me off. He's always portrayed so much younger in everything else I watch, and that kind of threw me off a bit.
That was a kind of a studio decision. They needed somebody who was, college-age teenager where they could do a heartthrob in there, where they could have some of the more mature stories.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Robin's tough, though, because, man, being Robin is child abuse. It doesn't translate well. And then when you consider how many of them there's...
Yeah, and I mean, like, he references in it, like, what should my hero name be? Like, Nightwing. And I'm like, he would work as a Nightwing. He would work as a Nightwing. That age works for that character. Mm-hmm. It throws me off a bit here. And when they, like, don't get me wrong, when they have the first suit, like, for the circus act, it didn't look right to me. But once they matured, like, the look and made it more to fit Batman style, then I was there. But, like, it's just
It's a great looking suit. It really is.
You can't really do that like child look and just not look. It bothers me.
So here's the thing. Right around this time, Robin actually was big.
Really?
They had killed Robin off.
So which Robin are we on then?
In the comics at this point, we're on the third one. We're with
what's the name?
Tim Drake.
Okay, we're with Tim. Okay.
Tim Drake, pre-New 52, is the best Robin. Absolutely is the best Robin. And you can tell because he made the character popular again. Dick Grayson, which is who Chris O'Donnell's playing here, was Teen Titans. They'd let him grow up, go to college, get into the Titans, and they'd transitioned him over to Nightwing. And Batman was without a Robin, so Batman adopted, why look, I've got another circus orphan.
Another orphan. Hello.
Only this one's parents were killed by Two-Face instead of some random schmo.
Yeah.
And, well, they had to retcon that to make him just someone off the street. But that's interesting. Jason Todd's parents were originally killed by Two-Face. And so they're homaging this in here, too. They're mixing Jason Todd's origin with Dick Grayson's. So they're trying to throw some stuff out to the comic book people. In the movie, they're referencing the fact that Two-Face invaded the circus and set a bomb off that they stopped the henchman while he was getting rid of the bomb.
Yeah.
So but then the costume is Tim Drake's. Because, all right, nobody liked Jason, and basically it was kind of, okay, let's see if you'll actually do it. They did kill him off. The writers worked on this for a while. They kept trying to push DC to say, Batman needs a Robin. And let's use this. Let's turn it into a thing. This is one of the things I love about Tim Drake and it's something that completely gets undermined 20 years later when they bring Jason back, and then when they throw Damian in there, and
that's when they turn him into like the red
Hood stuff,
Red Hood, yeah.
But when it's just Tim literally tells somebody at one point, everything Batman does now is to keep what happened to Jason from happening to me.
Yeah.
It gives him something more than revenge to fight for. And Jason and Tim was so popular. Tim had just arrived on the scene like a year or two with a great costume redesign. No more short shorts, leggings, interesting ribbing on the belt, the quarterstaff, and it was just, they gave him one miniseries. They gave him, okay, that worked. Let's do a second one. Okay, one more. You know what? Just give him his own series. So this is at the height of his popularity.
And I will say, when the Robins were first being introduced, we went to the circus. I was watching the screen and I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. I was like, no, please don't.
Yes, because you know what's coming.
I immediately knew what was coming, and I was like, no. I was so sad.
That's kind of that was one of the fun things to watch, though, through this whole thing. Because you didn't know who the villains were going to be.
No, I didn't.
You didn't know that this is going to be the movie that introduces Robin into the Batman movies. You didn't know anything going in.
No, I was going in almost completely blind, aside from the stuff I knew about Two-Face.
So you're like, wait, Two-Face? It even took you a while to catch on to this is going to be the Riddler.
Yeah, it took him like knobbing on the little doll thing that in his office. It was like, I was like, wait a minute. And then we got to his room and I saw the random fortune teller guy, and I was like, no, they're doing a Riddler.
What was your reaction to his?
I was like, what is it's like, I was sitting there like, what is this thing? At first I was like, yes, this is absolutely what I would think his room would look like. But then I was looking at the guy and I was like, is this guy is it haunted? Because when the Riddler's trying to pick out his costume, he's giving no, yes. And I'm sitting here like, what? I didn't understand what that thing was supposed to be.
I figured you'd be more just generally accepting of an arcade machine in somebody's house when just looking behind me.
The fact I didn't comment about it, that says something. But
and it's kind of like Zoltar from, do you remember the movie Big?
Yes.
So it's an evil version of that. Well, yeah. I don't know. That one's pretty evil too.
No, that's. I wonder, is that a thing with him, or was that unique to this?
That's unique to this as well, but it's such a great unique thing. They built these characters for this movie really well.
Yes, they did so good.
How do you like the people playing this?
What do you mean?
Well, for instance, I talked about baggage earlier. I don't like the actor that plays the Riddler. I don't like his movies most of the time. So that was another bit of baggage I came in with. But I
love him. He's great.
I know that, and that's exactly what I'm looking at. You loved everything he did.
As I said before, I love flamboyant characters, and I loved watching him on screen. Honestly, if I had to pick one thing that was my favorite part of the movie, it would have been him, because I don't know about the actor. I have a hard time recognizing actors unless they're ones I see a ton. But he played this role excellently.
He played too.
He played it exactly how I would have expected Riddler to be played. I will admit, I didn't expect Two-Face to be so energetic, but to be fair, I've only seen a little bit of Two-Face, so I can't really go in there making a judgment on him. As for the rest of the cast, as we were talking about earlier, I love Alfred. Alfred played wonderfully. He's everything I could have ever hoped him to be. Robin is okay. I mean, like...
I think actually Robin works better in the next movie. It's one of the few things that really works in Batman and Robin. He's got really great chemistry with George Clooney. Probably better chemistry with him than he did with Kilmer. And the three men in that movie, Clooney, O'Donnell, and Michael Gow and Alfred, there's a real family feel about them. I will say
nice.
There's some good stuff in there, and that's it. That's the stuff that I really like. I think Clooney's underrated as a Batman, but more importantly as a Bruce Wayne. I like him better as Bruce Wayne even than Kilmer. But I still, for me, this is also, like you were saying, this is your favorite of all the Batman movie I showed you. I think this is my favorite of all of them too.
Yeah, and like as a avid fan fiction reader myself, I love found family, and I love just seeing them bonding. I already talked about like with Alfred and him trying to take care of the two boys, but there's this scene when Robin first comes to the house where he's about to like refill his motorcycle before he goes off on his own to kill Two-Face, and like they both walk into this garage and they stumble over to the motorcycle section, and he's like, I don't know motorcycle names. He's going through what each of the motorcycles are, and they're bonding over it. And I'm sitting here like, oh, it's bonding! And even as the story kind of gets along further, I almost feel like that's rushed towards the end. Like they suddenly don't get along, and then they suddenly do get along. But like I loved seeing that. That was really fun for me. I wish we could have gotten more of that. But that's what I really love about like the Bat Family web series. So
I think you're right that it's rushed, but there's also so much more there's some that's cut too.
Oh?
All this talk about Bruce Wayne's dreams and regressing and trying to figure out what the dreams mean.
Yeah.
A lot of that's gone. A lot of that was left on the cutting room floor. There's supposedly a director's cut out there that they're trying to restore. I'm not sure how much I need of that though, because I got everything that I needed. I like the little kid running with the diary. This diary is never going to get filled again. But I also like the Bruce Wayne is trying to keep Dick from entering a life that's just about revenge. Because that's all Batman's life is. And this may be me coming back to the comics. Though, because it's not as focused on in the movies, maybe the Nolan ones, but even then, Batman isn't human anymore. He's lost any part of his soul, any personhood he ever had.
Oh?
All he is Batman. All he is this mission, this revenge.
Huh.
There's not a personality anymore. Bruce Wayne's a mask. Bruce Wayne is the mask, not the Bat mask.
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought about it like that.
And a lot of, I keep coming back to, this is the difference between him and Superman.
Yeah.
And anybody that knows me or my family knows I'm a Superman person. I love Superman because he does the right thing, because it's just the right thing to do. And
when I was younger, I used to ask you why your favorite superhero was Superman. And you would give me the same answer every time. And you would, like, I remember, I have specific memories of you going back and forth with me about different superheroes and why they do different things. Like, we talked about Spider-Man. It's to get revenge for Uncle Ben.
No, Spider-Man's all about guilt.
Okay.
Well, because he didn't do the right thing.
With, like, Green Lantern, it's because he's a soldier. With, like...
he's a cop.
I'm trying to think of more examples off the top of my head.
There's a lot of soldiers. There's people like Cap are a soldier.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman thinks she's a goddess. Well, she is. She's a demigod. Batman's about revenge.
Yeah.
You don't get too many pure superheroes. Even if you go to my other favorites, the Green Hornet's doing it because of family obligation. That's a legacy. The Shadow is very much, the Shadow is where Batman comes from. Batman's inspired by the Shadow. That's funny. I noticed one of the names on the story was Michael Uslan, who I occasionally see in like the Shadow chats. Mm-hmm. But he's on the Batman movie.
That's interesting.
He's done some Batman stuff as well. So, yeah, Batman, though, he's really just all about revenge. And what's interesting is seeing him trying to drive Dick in a different way.
Trying to stop him from taking that direction.
And you know what? It kind of works.
Yeah.
Because Dick is a better version of Batman, especially in the comics later on when we talk about Nightwing. Dick really is a better version of Batman. He's not weighed down by that need for revenge. He's still doing it. There's one cartoon where Dick's lurking on like some rooftop, casing the place, following somebody. Batman and Robin show up.
Okay.
Like, what are you doing here? I'm just kind of continuing in an obsessive behavior that was impressed upon me at a young age.
That's brilliant writing.
He's still so much more happy, so much more happy-go-lucky, and I love that.
Yeah.
I like seeing him in this. I like seeing him in this context, even. Mm-hmm. There's one other thing that I feel the need to point out, because like all true MCU fans, we watch the credits.
Yes.
So there's one name actually I completely forgot to watch for him, and we had to rewind. At the very end, so Riddler's in Arkham Asylum. Oh my gosh, that's straight out of the cartoon, isn't it?
That was so cool. I immediately it made me think of like the pictures I've seen of the comics, or like the images that I've seen of like the cartoon. Like it's my god,
the font, the sign, everything. It's just perfect, and then it's also on that tilt again.
Yeah.
So they did an homage to Tim Burton in that.
Yeah.
They make the head psychiatrist in Arkham Dr. Burton.
Yeah.
And he's got Tim's big cure
like
hair.
Blacky hairy blah blah blah.
But Dr. Burton's played by Renee Auberjonois. We're going through Deep Space Nine right now. We're watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
It's someone in Deep Space Nine?
That's the shapeshifter. That's Odo.
That's Odo?
Yes.
What?
You can kind of hear the voice.
No, we'll have to go back so that I can actually go back and listen to it. But I didn't see it in his face, but that's probably because he has such heavy makeup on.
You can't see his face.
No, you can't see his face. It's not there.
So yes, he's got just this wee little cameo right at the end there. That's actually really cool that they gave that to him. So and like I said, I was reminded that as we're watching the credits scroll. And, like right underneath Dennis Pillay, Kimberly Stack, Michael Paul, hang on. Wait, what?
Yeah, you paused it mid-credits.
All right, so, wait, no, I got to read this. Okay, just assistant. Nothing else. Executive, and then assistant aide. Assistant. Jon Favreau. No, like, Jon Favreau, as in, like, Iron Man.
Wait, huh?
As an elf. As in The Mandalorian.
He made elf?
Yes, he made elf.
That sounds like such a random thing to add to one's career
It's like one
list.
of his first directorial things.
Oh.
It's how he got people to trust him.
But even as in The Mandalorian?
Iron Man.
But even as in like The Mandalorian?
As in The Mandalorian. Yeah, I mean, that can't... He was around. That can't possibly be... Can somebody look that up for me and find out? Because... my mind's kind of blown here. There's smoke coming out of my ears at this point. Jon Favreau in Batman, or as just behind the scenes assistant in Batman Forever.
Definitely a weird addition.
All right, you're starting to wilt here. We talked a long time about this one.
I figured we'd have a lot to talk about with this.
Yeah, I did, because this is my favorite of the Batman movies, and I'm glad to see that it was yours. But I was so interested in seeing how you reacted to it. Like I said, without my baggage, and I've gotten a lot lighter on all this stuff as time goes by too. Mm-hmm. I like some of the actors better now. I like some of the choice. I get some of the choices. I can accept a lot more of it as a take rather than as the prime universe, like as the only Batman movie I'm going to get for the next 5 years.
Yeah, this one was definitely an interesting one.
yeah, I'm glad we got to go through this one. So we'll dive back into one of your movies next week.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
All right.